If you've ever played Universe Mode and felt like your shows lacked direction, your feuds fizzled out or your champions just didn't feel important, you're not alone, folks. Welcome to the goddamn show. Today we're talking about storytelling and booking in WWE 2K25. WWE 2K25 Universe Mode specifically. So, in WWE and all professional wrestling, booking isn't just about throwing matches together. The main goal of professional wrestling and sports entertainment is about storytelling, long-term planning, and making every moment feel meaningful. Whether you're looking to run a realistic WWE-styled show or an alternative-inspired product like AEW, or even your own fantasy promotion, this guide will help you to master Universe Mode and create your own very immersive experience. So right now, I want you to take a good hard look at yourself, okay? Look yourself up and down to your toes. Think of yourself dressed in a suit and as the GM and the creative head of your universe. I'm going to tell you what your key responsibilities are. Your responsibilities as a general manager: balancing rivalries to avoid exposing wrestlers or overexposing wrestlers. Pushing fresh talent that you like while maintaining strong champions, keeping storylines engaging with promos, angles, and special matches. Tracking your momentum with a spreadsheet or notes to ensure logical progression. Adjusting booking based on reactions. If you're a YouTube content creator, this can be through the comments. If you can hear the in-game crowd, you can see it by the crowd's reaction. Managing divisions is also a very key role to any general manager, so making sure that you establish where you want certain people, whether that be in the main event, the upper mid-card, the mid-card, the tag teams, or as a jobber or enhancement talent. That is the foundation and your role to establish as the general manager. Who do you want to compete for your world championships? For example, in real life, we have Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Who's in the upper mid-card? Who's above intercontinental level but can't quite get to that world level? Maybe like LA Knight. Mid-card, solid competitors who hold secondary championships. You know, Chad Gable, great example that's terribly booked, but would fit into this. Tag teams, it's a division for duos. And, of course, the jobbers and the enhancement talent. Who do you want to build up other talent? For example, when back on SmackDown Live, James Ellsworth. We also have R-Truth, who could be considered into this category now. So now we are going to understand the difference between sports entertainment and professional wrestling. So before diving any deeper into any booking styles, it's important to distinguish that there are two types of product on the market currently on television. We have sports entertainment, often associated with WWE. And what is sports entertainment? And how does it differ from professional wrestling? And how is this relevant to Universe Mode? Well, it's how you apply it to your Universe Mode. What kind of show do you want to run? So sports entertainment is more focused on storylines, character building, and a spectacle. And it's often scripted to support narratives rather than pure competition. On the other hand, professional wrestling, which I would consider more with the New Japan promotion, it's all about in-ring work and long-term storytelling through the matches, and it's more realistic and it's like a sports-based promotion. Or you can mix the two, and if you look back at NXT pre-2020, this is a perfect example of hybrid approach, where they blend both styles. So they focus on in-ring storytelling back in NXT whilst maintaining the values of WWE. And some real life examples, excuse me for the cough, of sports entertainment would be how WWE booked Roman Reigns' bloodline story, the character development, the relationship between him and his fellow bloodline members. An example of professional wrestling is how New Japan built Kazuchika Okada's feuds through in-ring psychology and competition and proving you're the best week in, week out. So we're going to talk about getting started. You load up Universe Mode for the very first time, and a very, very common comment I get is, how do I determine my champions? Well, we're going to have a look at the different approaches that you can take. Before we talk about booking, decide if you want to use real-life champions. Do you want it to be like you're taking over from the real-life product, or do you want to create your own title lineage? Think about who you want as your top stars, your mid-card, your upper mid-card, and your tag teams. These can be completely made up or very accurate to real life. I would recommend considering tournaments, battle royales, and multi-man matches to crown your initial champions. That way it's fast. You get straight into it. You don't have to have the title vacated for months on end. And I'll give you a real-life example. Back in 2016, when the WWE Universal Championship was introduced, that was determined by a tournament format, which Finn Balor won, and then unfortunately had to vacate, so he defeated the entire objective. But that's what I'm trying to get at. Now, why are you here? So a great universe mode is built on compelling storytelling. The rhyming is rhyming. So there's multiple ways to book feuds and multiple different types of booking techniques. So we're going to have a look at least 4 of these. And then I'm going to tell you how you can do it using WWE features and things like that. We're going to look at real life examples. And hopefully you guys can pick one of these styles of booking and apply it to your universe mode. Some of them you can use multiple. So in universe mode you can use multiple of these types of booking. These are real life types of booking in everyday professional wrestling and sports entertainment. So if you'll just indulge me for a couple of minutes, just want to go through them. You decide which one sounds like something you like or you'd enjoy doing, and we'll basically discuss it in the comments if you like. So put what kind of a book do you want to be? Do you want to be a hybrid? Do you want to be one of the following and stick to that? Let's have a look. So short-term and long-term booking. Short-term is often it's considered in the professional wrestling sphere as anything below 2 months. So this is mainly used for fresh feuds with new people, debuts, and momentum shifts. A great example of that would be AJ Styles and John Cena in 2016. The little feud they had for a couple of months over the WWE Championship is a fantastic example of this type of booking. Long-term booking is anything considered 6 months and above. So this is something that requires patience but creates a massive payoff. And the biggest example I could ever give, and you can ever look back on, is when Daniel Bryan all year was so over, and the long-term storytelling was he was the underdog, he could not do it. And then we got that massive payoff at WrestleMania 30 when he beat Batista and Randy Orton in the main event to win the Undisputed Championship. Also, booking styles. So as well as short-term and long-term booking, which is what's considered used, so you should use both types. Of course, everything can't be long-term. There's very specific booking styles, and we're going to talk about their impact. So traditional booking is what they used to use in the WWF in the 80s, early 90s, and traditional booking is where there is a clear heel and a clear face, and they are slow burn rivalries, so they're a bit slower, but you can clearly distinguish who the good and the bad guy is. A perfect example is, I believe it's WrestleMania 5, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage. Randy Savage was a heel. He'd obviously he turned heel. He was a clear bad guy, had a negative reaction from the crowd. Hulk Hogan was the babyface, and there was a clear distinguish. That is traditional booking, and it is still effective in some elements to this day. Next up, we've got, well, in my opinion, it is effective method of booking, but it's also to be used with caution. And you'll have heard this before, and I'm going to explain to you what it is if you don't know. And if you don't know what it is, it's used in WWE a hell of a lot today. Sometimes to the detriment of the talent, like Meechin and Chelsea Green is a perfect example of why 50-50 booking can be really negative. So what is 50-50 booking? Well, 50-50 booking is when you make 2 members of talent, it doesn't matter whether they're heel or face, show off in a feud for a certain amount of weeks. So for an example, let's use a 4-week schedule, and Dolph Ziggler was 50-50 booked into oblivion. So what is 50-50 booking? So let's use Chelsea and Meechin as an example. 50-50 booking is where you make each member of the talent win an equal amount of matches, and that's the end of the feud. But obviously there is a winner. So for example, in Chelsea Green and Meechin, they've been trading wins for 6 weeks now. Meechin winning non-title, Chelsea always winning the title. So 50% of the time Chelsea Green wins, 50% of the time Meechin wins, and then obviously Chelsea wins the last match, which is still 50% of the matches. It's not always exactly 50%, but 50-50 booking is where you make 2 superstars or tag teams win an equal amount over each other, and then it has a payoff that is just underwhelming. But it can be effective to just keep for rotating talent. The best style of booking, and I tell everybody this, is backwards booking. So what is backwards booking? So you start with a major key event, for example WrestleMania. So I don't know how true this is, but I believe it to be somewhat true. At WrestleMania 40, when Cody Rhodes won the Rumble for the second time and went on to face Roman Reigns, the booking and creative team knew that Cody Rhodes was going to win the Rumble and win the championship and finish his story at WrestleMania 40. So how do we backwards book? Well, we have the match for WrestleMania, and then we're looking back at how we can get there. So we're starting off with subtle hints, slight hints that he's going to be involved in the title picture leading up to the Royal Rumble. He wins the Royal Rumble, then he interacts with Roman, but you always know what the payoff is. So essentially backwards booking is you plan your payoff and then you plan everything before that. Crash TV booking. Now, WWE has used Crash TV booking a lot. Vince Russo in WCW abused Crash TV booking, and that's why it was detrimental. But Crash TV booking can be effective if you're trying to do short rivalries, for example. So what is Crash TV booking? It's a fast-paced, shocking angle out of nowhere that is designed for a short rivalry to showcase talent. And Crash TV, it's a story that begins, it has a little bit of a climax, and then it ends like that, like instantly. And a good example of that, looking back in the WCW era, was like Scott Steiner Booker T was Crash TV booking. I believe Scott Steiner came out of nowhere, challenged for the title, won the title, and that was it. It was all done over like a 3-week span, and then they just left it. And that, although it sounds terrible, it can be quite good if you're wanting to showcase and show that somebody's relevant. And a really good example of a really long-term story for long-term booking that I just wanted to mention is Hangman Adam Page versus MJF. The very first episode of Dynamite, they started a feud and it's still ongoing today. It's unsettled. That is a great example of the longest-term storytelling. So, yeah, that's essentially it for booking styles. On top of that, how do we manage our feuds? Well, have a spreadsheet. Many bookers use a spreadsheet, believe me, in real life and in content creation. And the things that these spreadsheets should track is rivalries and the progress, so week by week breakdowns, notes, win-loss records to determine who's in the driver's seat, who's got the momentum, planned matches for future pay-per-views, so this would be applicable to backwards booking, and booking logic, who wins and why do they win, and what's the goal after that. For example, AEW reportedly, tracks wins and losses to influence their booking, similar to a spreadsheet-based system like WWE probably use. And then we're going to talk about rivalry intensity. So the game's got it spot on, but obviously the rivalry system doesn't work as well as it should. For me, there's 3 types of rivalry intensity. There's low, medium, and high. And when you're booking a rivalry, you have to think, is this low, medium, or high? Low, I would consider a minor feud, a little bit of tension, or a TV match. A great example of a minor feud is the Miz versus Dolph Ziggler, I believe, for the Intercontinental Championship back in 2016, I believe. No real personal issues between the two. A little bit of tension, but it's a low feud. Nothing personal's been done. No hellacious attacks, no really deep insults. I know about Dolph Ziggler, The Miz cutting promos on Cena and stuff, but this particular feud, it didn't really feel intense. It didn't feel like they hated each other, and it still made for a good feud. Medium feuds are more like your mid-card feuds, so it's about promos and sporadic run-ins. Great example, Sheamus, Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship is a perfect medium intensity rivalry. They do intervene and engage with each other quite frequently, but it's not to the point where it's like over excessive or personal. It keeps you interested, but it's not quite hitting, the same level as a high. And a high intensity rivalry is blood. The word blood feud is a great word to describe this. So blood feuds, they spend the majority of time on TV, and everybody, in my opinion, in their universe mode should have a high intensity rivalry across every brand. These should be on every week. They should be dominating the main event scene, and they should culminate at a pay-per-view or premium live event. And the best example I can think of a really high-intensity feud was Triple H versus Batista back in 2005, when Batista left Evolution after being drafted. He won the Rumble and he chose Triple H. That rivalry was on TV every week. There was really personal and angry promos, and they were attacking each other left, right, and centre. And that's what a high-intensity rivalry really is. So think about it when you're booking. If you've got a Superstar A, Superstar B, what's their relationship like in your universe mode? What the roles do they play? What division are they in? How would that feud look best? Low, medium, or high? So you might be asking, how the hell do I do this in WWE 2K25? Well, I'm only going to cover three things that I use. So in-game promos can enhance rivalries and develop characters. Spend time writing promos to portray a message that you feel will represent the intensity of the rivalry. Use the highlight reel to customize your segments for a more dynamic story. Mix cutscenes with in-game commentary for immersion. So like when you're making a cutscene or you're doing a promo, commentate over it, sell it. And an example of how the promo system could work in real life, a real life example of how you could do something is like CM Punk's pipe bomb. So if you write an effective promo whereby somebody's against the authority, this is just an example by the way, look at CM Punk's pipe bomb. How can you influence your story to that level by using the promo and the writing system? Rival actions are a great way also to progress a rivalry. Can we get some run-ins? Can we have interaction, especially for your high-intensity blood feuds? What actions are going to happen? Somebody's going to attack somebody this week. We can record a backstage brawl segment between them, and then the week after, another attack or a promo. Just building up using the rivalry actions, showing what each wrestler's role is massively important. Heels, we need cowardly. Can we get a rival action where they're sneak attacking the babyface? Or will we get a rivalry where the babyface is dominant? And this is a massive thing for creating dramatic moments. Think back to the Shield and the breakup in 2014. Can you build something in your universe mode to that effect? Well, you can using rival actions. And third, use special match types and stipulations to enhance rivalries. So cage matches, last man standing, no DQ, ambulance, casket, whatever you want to use. Use the full locker that WWE 2K25 offers to add some diversity to rivalries, make it exciting, keep it fresh so it doesn't feel like they're just facing off week in, week out. A real life example I'm going to use is MJF versus CM Punk in a dog collar match. I know that's not applicable on WWE 2K25, but it had a long-term payoff. And use surprise elements as well. Money in the Bank cash-ins, I know they're a bit bugged. And unplanned returns for excitement. That's something else you can do. So what are our final thoughts going into closing this video? Well, at the end of the day, your universe mode should be fun, immersive, and personal. Experiment with different booking strategies. See what fits you best. Take advantage of WWE's enhanced features like rival actions. And most importantly, tell stories that keep you and your audience, if you have one, invested. And that is it for booking. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I do run a Discord. You can jump in there. I'll link it in the YouTube the description of the video. Feel free to join. Come and ask me any questions if you got anything to do with storytelling or want to share your universe with the world. Come and join us. We'll be happy to have you. But I'm going to close that video, this video here. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned one thing at least. And if you did, it'd be greatly appreciated if you smashed a thumbs up on this video. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.